I thought about this argument about, stuff like 52 and Civil War, flooding the market and pushing all these smaller, companies, off of the shelf and stuff. But something that somebody pointed out, which makes a lot of sense to me, is one of the things in the independent world that we don't take responsibility for, is that we force ourselves off of the shelves. There are more independent comics on the market than there are Marvel and DC books. There's just tons of them. Both our strength and our weakness as an industry is that comics is an open market. It's an open door policy. Anybody who can get your book printed can get it pretty much put out there on the shelves. So there are just tons and tons of new startup companies or people trying to do independent comics, and they're all fighting for that room on the shelf. So the amount of space that Marvel DC takes on the shelf is relatively small. The retailers still have to they're still going to order large amounts of Marvel DC stuff, but the fact that it's hard to make as an independent comic, I think, has more to do with the amount of other independent comics and the amount of other crappy independent comics versus the however many books Marvel DC puts out.
One of the things that I guess Brian Hibbs talked about in one of his articles too was about you have some companies who, or I don't know, some small press or some creators who they put an issue out, but they put out 6 covers of that issue, or they put out 8 covers of that issue.
For small press, or
I mean, who was the guy? I guess he was talking more about like the Friday the 13th line of books, and it's basically what you're saying,
doesn't it?
Dynamite, I think, and I'm not just saying this because I work for them, but for me, they're the only people who can do it excusably at this point.
Yeah.
Because everybody else has done it and it's ruined the market. Dynamite comes out of Dynamics Forces, who is a collector's. That's what they've always done. That's
right. So going in.
Exactly. That's the part of the package.
Okay.
Marvel DC, I think, have gotten smart, and they'll do the alternate covers, but they're very limited to what they do nowadays with that stuff. With Cross Bronx, we're doing an alternate cover, but by alternate cover, we're just having another artist do it. It's not a collectible. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not Rivik doing a cover, but it's not like you have to order 5 copies of mine to get his one.
You know, 50-50 split, or
Actually, I'm not sure how it's handled. Whether if you order 5 copies, you get 3 of one or 2 of the other, or if you actually choose which one you get. I don't know how that works.
Did you see
but there's no incentive to
Okay.
it. Yeah.
I just saw on the current previews that Marvel's putting out Moon Knight #6 with a cover and a bloody cover.
Yeah, the bloody cover.
Harkening back to the... I saw that, I was like, ooh. Because I don't mind certain variants, but that one seems sort of...
That's weak. That's a weak variant.
That's harkening to the 90s.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Is it the 50-50 split, though, or is it...
I don't know. I don't know yet. If it's 50-50,
Let's put it this way, the bigger companies are always going to do goofy shit.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's because they're just testing out a thing. Sometimes it's just... It seems like a good idea at the time when you're in the board meeting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they're
Could
like...
it be that they're getting pressure from marketing guys to...
I don't think so.
No?
Is that think so?
I think that's... Okay.
Yeah.
Now, with you being so in the know, in the company, in a bigger company no less, has reading comics been ruined for you, knowing upcoming storylines and all that jazz?
Not because of knowing the storylines. It's been ruined for me as far as... it's my work now. And I don't really read too much for enjoyment. The stuff that I do read for enjoyment is a lot more of the independent stuff, the James Kalchaka's work, the Jim Mahfood stuff.
Yeah.
That stuff, I love reading. Most of the comics I read with my kid. We were reading Usagi Yojimbo and Bone together. Those were great. Love doing that. But for the most part, it's Marvel DC stuff I read now. Even when it's good, I'm picking up for the intention of following through what's happening with the storyline. So as a writer, I'm up to date with what's happening. So while Mark Millar's Civil War and Ultimates is great, I'm not reading it because I want to enjoy it. I'm reading because I need to be in the know. They're well written, but believe me, I have sat through and had to read shit for for research purposes. That was just downright painful. And that's the worst part. And I'm not, I'm not saying that trying to put myself up as I'm a great writer, judging other writers and stuff. I've definitely got my own faults and stuff. I'm a greenhorn writer and such, but it's still hard to sit there and read a book that's just really bad, and you have to read all of it.
I feel your pain. I mean, just do it. Sometimes doing the show, you feel the need that, I should read as much as I can. Well, sometimes those top creators are where they are because maybe wherever they came from, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're still pumping out top work.
Yeah, everybody can do. Even the best writers can still write something crappy every now and then. I mean, Alan Moore's one of my favorite writers, and he's written some of my favorite stuff. But sometimes I've read his stuff where I just go like, that comes from Planet Moore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Planet Moore all the way.
That's from his cerebral cortex or whatever the fuck that was.
Hey, he wrote Watchmen, but he also wrote Bad Rock, didn't he? Bad Rock and
I think Alan has pretty much admitted that sometimes he'll just every now and then he'll just do something just for the money. I mean, you don't write Bad Rock because you know there's
you're a diehard
something
Bad Rock
profound,
fan.
you know,
He's
in
got
there or
a
something.
deep Jewish metaphor behind him where he's golem, in which, you know, that would mean he had depth and character to him, but nobody's clearly done that because Rob Liefeld created him.
That's great.
Sigh.
But actually, my favorite stuff of Alan Moore's is his poetry stuff. He does these amazing CDs that the first time you listen to it, it just sounds like he's like on peyote or something. And then the more you listen to it, like the Highbury Plains, you start realizing, oh wow, this is a story of like a town. Wait, this is the history of this town. Wait, this is the history going back to the beginning of time in this town and what it's done to this area of England. Fucking amazing.
Did you ever read Birth Call?
No.
Oh man, it's him and Eddie Campbell, and he tells. I guess Alan Moore himself was born with a birth call, like a little film of the placenta, I guess, or something over his face.
Yeah.
And they tell the story about this man's life, and it's told backwards through his time to when he's born, or in the womb. And there's this part that he hits right in the middle, like of your adolescent life. You realize that you're suddenly saddled with journals and old high school memorabilia and all this stuff, and like whether to purge that or is that purging your life. And I tell you, I read it like 3 a.m. I literally threw away like all my journals at that time. Like it cleansed. It was weird.
Yeah.
But for something so profound, a comic, you know.
So for the point being, even Alan Moore can write something that's not great,
right?
You know. So there you go.
Yeah.
It was never meant to be as like I didn't mean it as like a jab on him because you know, whatever.
That's perfectly understandable.
I mean, Brian killed Hawkeye. What the fuck was that about? I don't have a plot. I'm just gonna kill Hawkeye.
Nobody will notice.
And then, I know it's the best thing that ever happened to Hawkeye, man.
Clearly. Because then Mark tried to do it in Ultimates.
Yeah.
And then Mark almost got away with it, but then he shows up again. But he had a badass scene in it.
Yeah. They do it all the time. Look at Blue Beetle. You know, they kill Blue Beetle, and all of a sudden everybody's up in arms about. I'm the biggest Blue Beetle fan
there's ever been.
If there were Blue Beetle fans, none of that would have happened in the first place. So,
if you were buying the book.
Yeah.
So,
what other questions you got there?
I've got,
Slowpoke.
I'll slowpoke you. Yeah, no.
You got a camera.
No, I take anyway. Let's do some quick fire. Just first thing that comes to your head. Marvel.
Money.
DC.
Money.
Money.
I really don't have anything for money. I guess family. You need money to support the family, you know?
Independence.
Fun.
Rob.
Drunk.
See, I've done all this on the message board already. Quesada.
Fun.
J.G. Jones.
Jan Jones. You'll have to get some footage. You have to get some footage of her tomorrow. Great.
Oh, she's awesome.
Preferably hugging me. And not dropping my puppy. That's not a euphemism.
No. I heard that story last night. That was awesome.
Jack Kirby.
Awesome.
Paul Jenkins.
He's a great writer. I know that's not a word, but you know. Shows what a bad writer I am. Describe another writer in one word. Great writer.
The best.